And we're live. Okay, so it's been a while. Just thought sitting here thinking about stuff and reading things, and once again, a thought occurs to me. Uh, I felt like I needed to answer for some people anyway. Most of you already know this, but there are others who see my videos through your pages because I do share it with a lot of folks. And there are those, some of whom I know, and some are in my family, unfortunately, who will look at me when I go on a rant and make comments on some of my posts and say, "Well, Floyd, how do you know?" When I'm like recently, two more conspiracy theories have been proven to be true. They're not theories at all. They've actually happened. And there are dozens of them. I'm not going to go through the entire list. It would take too long. I will say this too, and before I begin, to those of you who ask me these questions, how do I know these things? Where are you getting your information from? You can look this stuff up yourself. I mean, I have no magic wand that I wave and conjure up these things, and I'm not making them up. And this is stuff that you can find as easily as I can, whether it's on the internet, or you could go to a library and check out a book or two, or you could go to a bookstore or go online and buy some books. If you're like me and you like having a library that you can refer to. But when I go on these rants of mine about conspiracy theories, and you like to call me names and tell me I'm crazy and where's my tinfoil hat, and yuck, 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 all the usual stupid shit you people say, just know this. I know these things because as a student of history, I have not only read about American history, I've read world history. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not an authority on world history, but I do know enough about it to know who the bad guys were and who the good guys are. And when it comes to conspiracy theories, when it comes to people lying to you, governments and their apparati lying to you, it's easy to find this stuff. You just have to want to find it. You have to look for it. So, just as an example, let's look at a couple of things here. Has the U.S. government ever lied to you? A couple of examples. You can look up more. Who said this quote? "We are not about to send American boys 9 or 10,000 miles away from home to do what Asian boys ought to be doing for themselves." Anybody? LBJ, Democrat, President of the United States, before we got heavily involved in Vietnam. 55,000 dead Americans later, plus the millions of civilians who were killed in that war. Did he lie to you? You tell me. What do you think? Was that a lie? Gulf of Tonkin incident. One of the reasons we got involved in Vietnam in the first place. He had to gather support from the American people. They had to create some sort of incident that they could point to and say, see, we need to be over there. We need to do something about this. Well, it's been declassified now, and we know that the Gulf of Tonkin incident was a lie. They made it up just to get support here in the States. And of course, the press went along with it, as they continue to do, rather than doing their jobs and finding out the truth and reporting it to the American people. They just went along. Again, look it up. Here's another government leader who killed over 20 million of his own people, his own countrymen. Quote, "There is no famine or actual starvation, nor is there likely to be." If you said Joseph Stalin, you win. says here, in the 1930s, Joseph Stalin was determined to wipe out private farms in Ukraine and put the population into Soviet-controlled communes. He instituted a policy that began starving this region. So while he's telling them there is no starvation, there's no famine, you're crazy. He was gaslighting them. Because while he's telling them that, he's actually implementing policies to starve them to death. But again, don't believe me. Look it up. What else is our country, the United States of America, doing to its citizens? Well, thank you, Republican Party. And of course, Democrats have gone along with it. And every president since this was implemented has gone along with it. The Patriot Act. Your government is spying on you at every turn. And screw the Fourth Amendment. You know, we talk about the Constitution all the time, and we should adhere to the Constitution. Hell, your government is violating the Constitution every day. But when I try to point stuff like that out, you look at me like I'm the crazy one. I'm not spying on you. The government is. Tuskegee experiment began in 1932. Now, who was president in 1932? And which political party had the majority in Congress? Anybody? Anybody? If you said Franklin Roosevelt and the Democrats, you get the cigar. The Tuskegee experiment began in 1932 at a time when there was no known treatment for syphilis, a contagious venereal disease. After being recruited by the promise of free medical care, 600 African-American men in Macon County, Alabama, were enrolled in the project, which aimed to study the full progression of the disease. So they're getting shots. And again, look it up. You can find the videos. You can find the pictures. They were getting shots, being told it was free health care, where this is going to make you feel better. And they were, in fact, injecting them with syphilis and studying them to see the effects that it had. Now, this is just one of many things that the Democrats and their leaders have done over the years. And yet, if you ask 90% of black people in this country today, maybe 95%, who are you going to vote for? I'm going to vote for the Democrat. The Democrats are not your friends, morons. Think about it for a minute. Kristallnacht. This is in Germany prior to World War II. This was various aspects of the German government under Hitler, who was chancellor at the time, to try to justify rounding up Jews and treating them as subhumans. Several parts of Hitler's political machine destroyed buildings and businesses throughout Germany and then blamed it on Jews. So this begins his journey toward the ultimate solution. Kristallnacht. Look it up. Government lying to its people. Now, some people knew it was a bunch of bullshit, but most of them went along with it. Now, whether they went along with it because they actually believed it or because they just themselves didn't like Jews, you could dig deeper into that if you like. Remember this one? This is more recent. Maybe some of you can remember back about 12, 14 years ago. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Remember? That's not just the government lying to you. That's the head of the government, the leader of the free world, Barack Obama, telling you that if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor under his health care plan. Of course, why the federal government should be involved in your health care plan is a whole other question, but we can save that discussion for another time. But just another example of a lie being told. I mean, look, again, I could be on here all night and go through all sorts of lies that people have told you. Governments throughout the world on every continent throughout history. Governments have lied to their people to enhance the power and gain more money for the government. They're not doing it to help you. They're doing it to control you. I don't know why you can't see this. It's either because you just haven't looked or you just don't want to know. Your loyalty to your political party overrides any common sense. It's like you think party loyalty doesn't matter? Look at all the Democrats who called Trump all kinds of racist. But when Joe Biden says or does something racist, they completely ignore it. Now, if he's a racist, he's a racist. Whether it's Trump, Biden, Bush, I don't care who it is. But you ready? Call a spade a spade. It is what it is. You can't pretend otherwise unless you just don't care. If you hate racism as much as you claim to, then point it out wherever you see it. Instead of just calling somebody a racist because you disagree with them. Again, I could be on here all night. This could take a long time. And there are so many examples I could cite. But when you hear me complaining about, well, the jab, I got to be careful. I'm on YouTube now, so they'll suspend my page if they don't like what I'm saying. When it comes to the jab, I started out from the very beginning saying, not going to take it. I can't imagine why you would. Why would you trust the government and Big Pharma, both of whom have lied to you so many times, it's hard to keep up. Oh, Floyd, you're crazy. Where's your tinfoil hat? Blah, blah, blah. And now what are we learning? Oh, it didn't come from a lab in China. Oh, really? Now what are we learning? And I've been telling you this for 3 years now. But again, I'm the crazy one. So when you ask me these questions or you listen to me and you think, well, where is he getting this from? Life experience. Number one, life experience. I've seen it. I've heard it. I've been lied to enough times. I know a lie when I see it. Okay? Common sense. Knowledge of history. This is not new. Governments lie. They have always lied. They continue to lie. And all the apparatchiks in the government in order to keep their thirsty dog on a hot July day. Don't show the least bit of skepticism. Don't dare ask any questions because somebody might call you a conspiracy nut. So it just continues. That's where I get it from. That's why I say the things that I say. And you know what? I dare any one of you to present to me in the comment section of this post a list of any conspiracy theories that, or anything you've called a conspiracy theory over the last 10 years. And I'll guarantee you I've been right on every damn one of them. And it's not because I'm some super genius or I'm clairvoyant and I can read minds. I know history. I know human nature. This is what governments do. This is what big corporations do. I remember a time, I'm going to digress here. I remember a time when liberals, Democrats hated big corporations. Oh, they're using their money for undue influence. They're buying government. And that's not fair. They can't do that. Now look at them. Oh, Pfizer said that you can do that. That company over there said it's okay. And Google said, that you don't need to know that, or you can't say that. So now all of a sudden, liberals and Democrats love big corporations. Why the change, guys? Why the flip-flop? So anyway, just wanted to cover that and let you know that I'm not just making this stuff up. I have a reason for saying the things that I say and posting the things that I post. And it's based on those three things I told you about: experience, common sense, knowledge of history. I suggest some of you out there might want to start reading a little history. Just saying.